What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It is Saturday, January 29th, a day that will live on in history. I guess maybe. We'll see. Maybe it's Sunday or Monday when it officially happens. But this is an emergency podcast because Tom Brady is retiring. It's insane to say out loud. The greatest quarterback in the history of professional football is walking away. And joining me to break it down, John Breach. Breach, what's up, buddy?
Brinson, what's up? My mind is blown right now. The last thing I thought we would hear today, Jason La Canfora talked about a lot over the 24 hours that maybe an announcement was coming, and there's still, the announcement's not out there. But the fact that this is happening is mind-blowing. It is. We were tykes, Brinson. We were kids when Tom Brady's career started. Now here we are having a live podcast 22 years later about his retirement.
We said we were tykes when what?
When Tom Brady's career started.
I was in college.
We were babies.
No, I was in college.
You're a baby.
We definitely didn't have kids. I'll tell you that much. A couple of things. One, Jason La Canfora got this on Friday. You can. Jason La Canfora scooped this. End of story. JLC deserves the credit for this scoop. He nailed it on Friday. It is part of the machine of how this whole things operate. But he's not getting the due credit that he deserves. So I just want to put that out there. Two, if you are in the chat, smash the like button. I don't know if we're giving anything away, but smash the like button anyway. I would point out that if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, you will see that John Breach and I are both wearing button-up shirts at 3:30 on a Saturday.
Oh, I was going to wear a tuxedo.
If you're wondering why the emergency podcast took an extra 15 minutes to get going, it's because we have other duties as part of our job. So please do not complain that we're running late. We're trying as fast as we can. I was busy watching the NC State Wolfpack.
And don't complain that Brinson's dressed up with his hair slicked back. That's, he's got to look good on video. Podcast, that doesn't matter. Tom Brady retirement video, we got to look spiffy and handsome. And that's why we're ready to roll to talk about Tom Brady.
Yeah. What happened was I took a shower.
For the first time in a month.
And I was like, I don't need to do my hair. Like, I'm not going to make my hair look nice. I'm just sitting down here and watch a basketball game and then hang out at my house all day. Like, I don't need to be on video or anything like that. And then Tom Brady retired. Anyway, enough about us. Let's get into this. I would say on a scale, like 1 to 10 scale, it's obviously a 10. I guess it's not necessarily a shocker 10 because we had heard rumblings for a week or so, Breach. And then, of course, as I mentioned, Jason La Canfora reported on Friday night that Tom Brady was leaning towards, announcing his retirement. And also that Tom Brady wanted to sort of stay out of the spotlight and not hog the spotlight. By virtue of this coming out on Saturday, it's hogging the spotlight. It's all anyone will talk about leading into the championship weekend. Maybe he wanted to wait till Monday. Anyway, Tom Brady will retire with 7 Super Bowl wins, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 15 Pro Bowls, 243 wins, 84,520 passing yards, and 624 passing touchdowns.
All NFL records.
NFL records. And he owns a lot more. He has the record for playoff wins. It's like, is it 43 or 34?
It's 35, which, to put that in perspective, only the Steelers, Packers, and Patriots franchises have more playoff wins than Tom Brady. The Packers and Steelers have 36. The Patriots have 37. So Tom Brady literally has more playoff wins than 28 of the NFL's 32 franchises, and he's tied with the Cowboys.
Worth noting, Don Yee's agent released a statement. Longtime agent Don Yee. I understand the advanced speculation about Tom's future. Without getting into the accuracy or inaccuracy of what's being reported, Tom will be the only person to express his plans with complete accuracy. He knows the realities of the football business and planning calendar as well as anybody, so that should be soon.
Now, let me just say something about that statement real quick, Brinson, because reading Jason La Canfora's story on Friday, Ryan Wilson's in the house! Now, let me say real quick, reading JLC's story on Friday, that was worded very well, and it very much insinuated that Brady, he did not want to upstage the championship games coming on Sunday. He did not want to upstage the Super Bowl, and so it really made it seem like he would announce it Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday next week, where you have the dead week before the Pro Bowl, you do it in the middle of that week, people talk about it for 4 or 5 days, and then, the media moves on to the Super Bowl. So it feels like that was Brady's plan. And, I'm sure he's not happy that all of this is transpiring as it is right now.
Wilson.
If I'm going to be here for the Brian Daboll Emergency podcast, I should probably be here for the Tom Brady
your
retirement
sense of dedication to your craft and to making sure you're present for work-related activities so you don't get fired just for absences is remarkably Tom Brady-like.
And what's funny about Wilson being here is so we'll be out at the park with the kid on a day off or something, and I had always had this conversation with my wife. What, make a list of NFL events that would be okay for me to just dip out and we have to cover them right now. And she's like, Tom Brady retiring would be the first one to come to my mind. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were you at the park today?
No, this conversation was like over the summer. You got to make the list of when are you allowed to work on your day off?
Where was Brian Daboll on that list?
I was out to dinner and Brian Daboll, my wife doesn't know who Brian Daboll is, so he was not on the list.
That's fair. I got a couple. I assume they're leaving in a minute. A couple of friends over to watch the NC State Carolina game. Things are getting ugly. Things got ugly early, and I texted AK and said Tom Brady retired, and she left a women's retreat of some kind to come at the church to come back home because she thought I was like, she needed to come back, and she got back. She was like, wait, you have 2 babysitters watching Robbie. What's the problem here?
She could have just tuned into the podcast and figured out what you're up to.
So. All right, Tom. I mean, look, not like my earliest memories of football, but I was in college. We were everybody at NC State. We were Rams fans because of Torrey Holt. We were rooting for Torrey Holt to win Super Bowl. So my first Super Bowl in college at State was with Torrey Holt. When they beat the Titans with the Rams. Second one, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win. So I was a sophomore in college or a junior in college whenever it happened. Anyway, the point being is that Tom Brady.
To be fair, you were a sophomore for 3 years, so it could span.
Absolutely, it's very vague. And I started covering football at CBS in 2010. Wilson, you came along in 2011. That was Tom Brady's first Super Bowl back after the initial runs, after the undefeated
Giants Super Bowl in Indianapolis.
Yep, they lost to the Giants again in Indianapolis. I mean, I feel like Tom Brady has been in roughly 75% of the Super Bowls I've covered. And obviously he had the 4 before that. I mean, it's just an unprecedented run. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it's ending now because he just led the league in pass attempts and passing yards and passing touchdowns and easily could have kept going. I'm frankly, when I heard the news that he was retiring or the buzz that he might retire, I was like, why would he do that now? This guy's got stuff left in the tank, but I guess he didn't want to have one of those seasons where, you look like
we saw in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Like a Big Ben season or even a Peyton Manning season, frankly.
Yeah. One team went to the playoffs, the other team won the Super Bowl, but I get your point. I know exactly what you're saying.
Right.
By the way, shout out to Chris Joseph in the chat. He noticed my NYCFC beanie on. So shout out to the defending MLS champs. But for me, the initial memory that I hate Brady so much I can't stand it was the 2001 AFC Championship game.
Sure.
The Steelers that year, 2001, Dick LeBeau coached the Bengals. The Steelers went 13-3. The Bengals actually beat them late in the year. I don't know how closely you were following the Bengals back then because they weren't very good, Breach. But Tom Brady had won the job. Drew Bledsoe had gotten benched. And Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe came into Heinz Field. The Steelers had the home field advantage. I think they were the number 1 or number 2 seed. And Cordell Stewart and Bill Cowher could not beat. And I think I'm getting this right. Tom Brady got hurt in that game. He suffered an ankle injury. And Drew Bledsoe came in and continued the beating. And that was the moment where I was so invested in the Steelers at that point. I literally, after the game, went for like an hour walk to clear my mind.
Well, and Wilson, I'm glad you brought that story up because this really is a great way to start a conversation about Tom Brady's career and how crazy it is because of how well Drew Bledsoe played in that game. There was a huge controversy about who the Patriots starting quarterback was going to be in that Super Bowl against the Rams. I think that was Super Bowl 36.
And if his ankle would be healed in time and all that.
Right. And so you had the Rams were a 2-touchdown favorite, and people were asking Belichick all week, who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is it going to be Drew Bledsoe, who is healthy, and this guy you gave a huge contract to last offseason? Or is it going to be this Tom Brady guy who has 1.5 games of postseason experience and has only been in the league for a year and a half? And so Tom Brady's career started with a QB controversy leading up to the Super Bowl. Now here we are ending it after 7 Super Bowl wins, 14 conference title game appearances. I mean, it's just crazy to think that is how his first Super Bowl week started, was people wondering if he was even going to play in the game.
I mean, it's a 6th-round pick.
109.
Well, yeah, but he had played the whole season and got him there.
I know. I mean,
shared reps with Drew Hinton. Drew Stanton. Drew
Stanton is Drew Henson.
I think it was Drew Hinton. Is that right?
It's Drew Henson.
Henson, gotcha.
Yes. Went on to play for the New York Yankees, and then
Awesome.
came back for the
Puppeteer,
Cowboys. Breach, to your point, that season, the 2001 season, I distinctly remember. We're in college, we're betting on the games, we're following football, and it was like, all right, this luck box has to run out at some point. Like, this is. And I think that was the general conversation out there, was that, is this just a fluky run? Is this guy Brady, like, is he actually legit? He's kind of a clutch game manager. And that part is kind of forgotten too, that Tom Brady early on in his career, by the way, if you're watching in the chat, smash that like button. Maybe we'll give something away. Tom Brady early in his career was like not a statistical monster. He didn't post huge season. He didn't really post a big season, a real big season, until, I guess, he had good season. He led the league in passing touchdowns, but like, he was averaging under 3,500 passing yards per year. They were a team that won on defense, on running the football, on creative offensive schematics. And Brady didn't open up until really like 2007. Oh, he led the league in passing in 2005. He just didn't miss when it came to these clutch situations. He didn't lose a playoff game, I don't believe, until, was it 2005? He didn't lose a playoff game. I mean, he won like the first 16. I'll look at it real quick, but he won, as Wilson points out, just coming out of the gates, he won 10 consecutive playoff games to start his career. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, no one does that. Literally no one. You don't win your first 10 playoff games, especially not when you're expected to lose the first 3. The Rams game, obviously the Patriots were, I think, the biggest Super Bowl underdogs this side of the Jets-Colts game. So the second biggest underdogs in Super Bowl history. And they go out and pull off this huge upset. And that was his first 10 playoff games was 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. And to think, his Patriots 2003-2004 team is still the last team that has a repeat winner of a Super Bowl. And so it's crazy to think how long he's just been good, and that Panthers Super Bowl, because it did feel like he was a game manager the first couple years of his career. And that Panthers Super Bowl, Brinson, which, sorry, probably broke your heart, kind of felt like the coming out party for, hey, this is my team. I'm the leader. He threw for over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And obviously, they won it on Vinatieri's field goal. But that was the first Super Bowl where you said Tom Brady won this game. Obviously he had the great drive against the Rams to set Vinatieri's field goal up, but he didn't do much else in the game before that. And that's when you really felt like, my God, this guy might be around forever. I don't think anyone thought 22 years, but I mean, that Panthers Super Bowl was his first true work of art.
Yeah. So Rick Devereaux mentions in the chat he's a Chargers fan, and Brady ripped my heart out more than once.
Oh my God!
I think every fan base, especially the AFC, can point to a Tom Brady situation in which you would like to have strangled him. Breach, is there a Bengals one that comes to mind? Because I'm trying to think. I don't remember them particularly.
Well, the Bengals were so bad.
Right. The Bengals were irrelevant for most of Tom Brady's
for Brady's career, and they never played in the playoffs. So I will say though,
that'd be a regular season game.
The Bengals were, I was going to say, were so bad that the only highlight of their time before getting the playoffs this year was probably beating Tom Brady in, I think, 2013. They won 13-6. They were the first team, I think, to hold Brady without a touchdown pass in 5 years. So if your team beat Brady, you were pumped. I mean, that made your season. If your team was horrible, you hung your hat on the fact that they beat the Patriots and Tom Brady. That's awesome. That's how good this team was. That's how good Tom Brady was.
Somebody in the chat was said the Ravens don't mind Brady. I would probably disagree with that.
No. Jim Harbaugh hates Tom Brady because remember they did all those trick plays in the playoff game in which no one knew the rules, and John Harbaugh was furious.
Yep.
I think is it the John Harbaugh Ravens game where Lee Evans dropped the pass and who was the kicker breached it, honked the kick that had him a chance to win it? It wasn't Shane Graham.
Oh, Cundiff. For the Ravens?
Right.
Cundiff.
No, that was Ravens Patriots in the playoffs, I believe.
The Ravens did have, and Joe Flacco did have, in full credit, they did have more success than most teams.
Winning in New England and won.
Yep.
Joe Flacco and Ray Rice ran all over him.
Yep, that was 2000 and what was it?
2009. The Ravens
2009, because Wes Welker tore his ACL in Week 17 against the Texans.
Yeah,
shouldn't have been playing, and then the Pats got railroaded by the Ravens 33-14.
By the way, Tony Pritchard makes a. Is that Devo talking? Who's talking?
That's Devo.
I was just going to say Brady 1-3 versus the Broncos in the postseason. The Broncos had some good success against them, especially with Peyton.
5, I believe, was the Champ Bailey almost pick six, got run down by Ben Watson. If it was 2005, it's important because that meant that the Broncos hosted the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. If they played the Patriots, the Steelers, that would have been a different conversation. I think that's the right year. I might be wrong with the year, but it was Champ Bailey. Tony Pritchard in the chat makes another point. Brady loses big to KC to the point where we're asking Bill Belichick if Tom Brady's going to get benched. And he says we're on to Cincinnati. They beat Cincinnati 5,000.
And that was 2014 when people were thinking, hey, did Brady lose his fastball? And that was the Chiefs won that game, I think 41-14. And somebody literally, a member of the press said, hey, coach, are you thinking about benching Tom Brady? And he kind of looked at him. And then that was also the press conference, like Tony mentioned, where we're on to Cincinnati.
And that was one where, like, if you were,
they won the Super Bowl that year, by the way.
And they covered against Cincinnati, and it was the easiest bet in the entire world because
easiest ever.
Yeah, you knew that you're like, Belichick's going to destroy the Bengals, and sure enough, they did. 35-12 all time. It is interesting. We've got reports up there. I don't want to dive into this too much, but since this is a live podcast, I will point out that Greg Allman of The Athletic, who covers the Buccaneers and is very good at his job, pointed out it's been an hour since Adam Schefter of ESPN's tweet that Tom Brady's retiring. NFL accounts, Brady brand accounts have tweeted it, but the team hasn't tweeted anything, and neither has Bruce Arians hasn't been told that Tom Brady's retiring. And to follow up, TB12 Sports, Brady's brand, deleted their tweet acknowledging his career achievements, which I would think that Tom Brady is probably, if I had to guess, he's more miffed that this is actually taking away attention from the championship games, which, as JLC reported on Friday, Brady did not want to do and probably will not issue a statement until Monday. I
don't care. I don't care. I don't think he cares. Honestly, I think he's probably in the Dominican. Is that where he goes, Breach? I can never remember which.
He's
in the Dominican.
Costa Rica.
He's scuba diving or whatever. Giselle's doing whatever she's doing, and they're probably enjoying the first day of the rest of their lives.
Probably.
And it's one thing because we heard a lot of him. We heard him talk about family in that final podcast he did after the playoff loss. And he just said so much about how the family was going to be a big part of the decision. And you look at, when he won that first Super Bowl, Tom Brady was a single guy, 22 years old. The family is the furthest away from what you're thinking because you're not married. You don't have to worry about kids. And he didn't have his first kid till 2007. And by then he'd already won 3 Super Bowls. And now you're talking about a 44-year-old guy who has 3 kids. They're all over the age of 9. And he's talked about all the stuff he's missing. You're not at home all the time with your children. They're kind of growing up, not without you because you are, but Brady has said when he's playing football, he puts everything into football. And so you're not 100% there when you're putting everything into football. And you can tell that that's something that was weighing on him and that he wanted to be there for his kids all the time and be there for Giselle. So it's just crazy to think you 0 kids. And now he's got a 9-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 14-year-old who have seen his last 4 Super Bowl wins.
Yeah. And it's true. Like look, it's hard to, I'm not trying to make this job sound, like we're, quarterbacking teams to Super Bowls, but it's hard being a dad and having a job that revolves around this very bizarre football schedule is not easy. I cannot imagine trying to be a dad for multiple kids and also being the greatest quarterback of all time who's played football for 20 plus years and grinds insanely hard every day, every hour, every minute, through the course of, of a week and a season. Those seasons are stressful. It's why even when, you always wonder, like Tom Brady, wins the Super Bowl in Tampa, and you're like, I mean, at this point, like, we just shrug our shoulders. We're like, yeah, Tom Brady won another, but I mean, it still matters a ton to him. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, more Tom Brady retirement talk. So I heard, I think it was Joe Musso asked maybe Jonathan Jones this. Which Brady Super Bowl of the 7, which Brady Super Bowl do you guys like the most, I guess, is the question. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, I don't know if it's which one means the most to Tom Brady.
I'll go first because Breach will steal it if I don't. Although Breach wasn't with us in the press box, but it's going to be the New England, Arizona, New England, Seattle Super Bowl, because we were sitting at that end of the end zone. I was sitting next to Prisco, and at that point I was taking a lot of photographs. So I actually had the photograph of the Malcolm Butler interception.
Yeah, you have a great photo of it.
And I didn't know what happened at the time because I was looking through the camera, and Pete's like, "He intercepted it, dummy," on a fantastic play. And that was, that less about Tom in that Super Bowl, but it was a great Super Bowl. More about that defense and obviously the stand they made, and more about what Pete Carroll didn't do. But that is probably my favorite. Also, at that point, I sort of cooled on the idea of just hating Tom Brady with all my heart, because it takes a lot out of you. And that was a little past the midway point, I think, of a Super Bowl run. I could be wrong, but that was probably one that I remember the most.
It's funny. Tom Brady actually was asked recently what his favorite Super Bowl was. This is back in October. Jim Gray asked him on the podcast, the Let's Go podcast. Do you guys want to take a guess on which one?
So how many does he have? He has 6 there.
He has 6 in New England, 1 in Tampa. But he had won the one in Tampa already, because this past October when the interview happened.
I mean, it has to be the Falcons one.
Yeah, I would guess 28-3 probably.
I would have also guessed 28-3, and we all would have been wrong.
Did he say the next one?
No, he did not get generic. He did not even say the next one, because that's usually what he says after somebody will ask him after a game, what was your favorite Super Bowl? And he's always saying the next one. It's the next one. The next one I win. The answer is Super Bowl 49.
Oh, Wilson's pick.
New England, Wilson's pick. That's exactly why I brought it up. So here was his exact quote.
Breach was in Vegas covering it. Wilson and I were in the press box at Prisco and JLC. It's the greatest game I've ever seen in my life in terms of football in person. I mean, just an absolute bananas game.
Well, you saw the 28-3 one.
And the 49 was better. Yeah.
And you were sitting next to me. Is that why you didn't like it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, here was Brady's quote. It's got a cuss word in it. So Debo, get the second mark so you can bleep me out. Am I allowed to cuss live? How's it supposed to work? All right.
Is it the S word?
Yeah.
If you're quoting Tom Brady,
I am quoting Tom Brady.
You're allowed to say the S word if you're.
All right. Here's the quote. In terms of football, if I'm thinking about a football and one moment, I'm thinking about the Seattle Super Bowl. That's probably the one moment. The first 3 happened really quickly. And then I think I went 10 years and realized, holy shit, this is really hard. And how lucky I was, naive and lucky for the first 3. So the Seattle Super Bowl, end quote.
Yeah. That would have been the sneaky reason. And without having heard of that, I would have suggested that one as well, because there was a stretch, right? So they won those 3 Super Bowls in 01, 03, and 04. Is that correct?
Well, if you do the actual year they won it, 2002, 2004, 2005.
Right. You got the seasons right. You got
the seasons with the Patriots. So it's 01, 03, they beat the Panthers. 04, they beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
And then they have the 07 team that goes undefeated and loses to the Giants in the playoffs. And remember, before the 07 season, Spygate came out and everyone was accusing the Patriots of cheating. Well, the Patriots were pissed off and they blitzkrieged the league, and then they got upset by the Giants. So fast forward to 2000 and what was it? 2014, the 2014 Patriots, they go 12-4, and they eventually beat the Seahawks, as we're describing. It has been a decade since the Patriots have won a Super Bowl. And every year there was a drumbeat of some kind from some corner of the internet, some corner of the media, that maybe the Patriots couldn't win a Super Bowl without cheating. Like it was ridiculous when people started doing it in the first few years of it. But once you got to 10 years and we'd seen them lose twice to the Giants, it started to be like, man, I mean, it's kind of been a minute since they won a Super Bowl. And it felt like with the Seahawks dynasty, we think it's about to kick off. It was like a real turning point in that Super Bowl in Arizona, where if the Patriots don't find a way to win, you sort of have to wonder, do they need to try and take a different approach because they just can't get another Super Bowl? And it ends up being they beat, they throw the ball at the end, the Seahawks do. Pats intercept them, and the Seahawks would-be dynasty crumbles apart, and the Patriots go on to find new life in terms of their production.
And the crazy thing about that Super Bowl is because of Russell Wilson's interception, all you hear about is the Seahawks should have given the ball to Marshawn at the 1. Is it really overshadows how well Tom Brady played in that game? He threw 4 touchdown passes. He threw for 328 yards. He was a machine. And then obviously all anyone talks about is give the ball to beast mode. Why are you throwing it? Why are you throwing it from the 1 yard line? You got Marshawn.
Yeah, I think and look, the other thing too is when you look at Tom Brady's career, you can, I think it was our CBS Sports HQ account that kind of put this out there, but you can take Tom Brady's career and divide it into 3 different segments. So you have up through 2007 when he tore his ACL, of course, in 2000, but everybody forgets about it. It's like, almost like a blip on the radar that he tore his ACL in week 1. And, but he,
Pollard,
I was going to say, do you remember who did it?
Yeah. 26,364 passing yards, 197 touchdowns, 3 Super Bowl victories. And that was through 2007, which is wild. Like that's probably that's definitely a Hall of Fame career, right?
I mean, you could just break it down into his age, his 20s, his 30s, and his 40s,
right?
And give him a Hall of Fame career. I mean, did he win 2 Super Bowls in his 40s? 3?
Yes.
Did he win 3? 2017?
Oh, there we go. Look at
No, he was 39. So he's won 2 Super Bowls in his 40s.
Yeah. So you go 2018 to 2014 is the division you can put in there.
By the way, 2008 to 2014. That's not even Matthew Stafford. And someone on this podcast, Breach, wants to put Matthew Stafford into the Hall of Fame.
I mean, what do you mean that's not even Matthew Stafford? Like,
look at the very bottom. What does that say?
More than what do you?
It says 1 title.
Right. I mean, he has 100. I mean, what are the all-time? Why are you tagging? Why is Matthew Stafford getting dragged into this? You clown.
Because you always try to put him in the Hall of Fame, and he hasn't done anything.
Okay, so his lowest passing total in that would be 26,364 passing yards. That would be good for, I think it's still like outside the top 75, but because of how many Super Bowls he has, how many wins he has, how many passing touchdowns he has, like it's a no-brainer. Like each one of those 3 would be Hall of Fame careers. It's wild.
Yeah, it'd also be wild if he doesn't retire, and then we have to re-record this podcast next year after he does retire,
like we did with Favre when we had that podcast.
Favre's done. Favre's coming back. Favre's done. No, Favre's coming back.
Like, I hate to do this, and I didn't even want to tweet this. I didn't tweet it because it seems I feel like I get pushback on it. But I think I mentioned this, right? That like does this mean Big Ben's not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yeah, you brought up that.
This is what I said.
Before.
I said if there were too many people that they would push him back to the second year, and you
Well,
guys were like,
Gronk.
no way, Big Ben's getting. Yeah, I think Gronk. Yeah, and I said Gronk is better at his position than Big Ben was at his position.
Well,
that's not a shot at Big Ben.
Hall of Famer. Quit saying stupid stuff.
So
this means Phillip Rivers isn't getting into minimum year 3
or ever.
Well, Rivers has a year ahead of them, so like he could if he got in.
Imagine
Rivers isn't a first ballot.
Yeah, stop it. I mean, Phillip Rivers is the first ballot, and the Big Ben's waiting 2 years. That's idiocy, even for the level of this podcast.
Dude, the NFL Hall of Fame voters, the Pro Football Hall of Fame voters, are weird about how they handle it. I'm not saying that Ben isn't a first. Oh, somebody's a little testy about this one.
Well, let me put it to you this way: quit wasting energy on it and focus on other things because it's not going to happen. He's going to be first ballot Hall of Famer.
I could see a situation where the NFL Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, does not want to put another.
You can also see a situation where Matthew Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame. So clearly, you're not the one to be waiting.
It would not be that crazy if they decided that Tom Brady deserves his own singular
Wing?
recognition as a quarterback.
His own
Right.
wing of the Hall of Fame.
He's the only person going in 5 years, is what you're saying? That makes zero sense.
The only quarterback who goes in 5 years.
Also
If,
makes
if
zero
you're
sense.
Ben Roethlisberger, though, would you even want to go in with Tom Brady? I think
Okay.
that's
You go up there, you speak for an hour, and then the next guy comes up
but
and
your
speaks for
whole
an hour.
ceremony
I-
gets
I'm
overshadowed
with you,
by
Brady.
Tom Brady because that's all anyone's talking about.
Well, also worth noting, you guys are both losers. You're not used to being part of a winning
Jeez
organization.
Louise, this is shit like triggered somebody.
Well, you're saying
I
stuff that
think
doesn't even make any
Ben
sense.
is obviously going to the Hall of Fame, but do you want to go in with Tom Brady?
Yes, I do. You
'Cause
want to
most-
go in with Evan McPherson. That's
I
where
don't
we're
think
at.
I want to.
Yeah, but
Did,
he's not
um,
eligible until he retires in 15 years. So we're talking 20 more years, Wilson.
I mean, I don't. So they did this already recently with Favre and Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner was on NFL Network.
Kurt Warner wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay.
He was benched for Eli Manning.
And he was just happy to get in because he was a fringe case.
Yeah, I
he was that contentious case where everybody's saying his bad years were so bad, but his good years were so good. And how do you rectify that? And so he was just happy to get in. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm happy with him. I'm happy that Kurt Warner is in the Hall of Fame. I think he deserves to be, but yeah, he wasn't a first ballot guy.
Yeah, we've got another update from Mike Silver. So Tom Brady apparently contacted Buccaneers GM Jason Light and told him he has not made a final decision on retirement. And so Brady, apparently this happened since the ESPN story came out.
JLC was 100% spot on.
Right.
The
That he
JLC
didn't,
on Friday didn't say he's retiring.
no, JLC reported that everyone was assuming and that Brady was weighing it. And if he was going to retire, the announcement would come in the very near future.
Let me ask you this: of the three of us, who went on HQ to talk about Brady retiring?
So should we save the podcast and run it on Tuesday? How's this work, Debo?
It's live. Can't go back.
Live, man.
Debo's
You
gone.
already
He's like,
cursed?
wait.
What do you think? Debo's got reports out here. Debo ain't trying to get. Debo ain't getting
Covering my
fired.
bases.
Yeah,
The only one
Debo
in trouble here is you for cursing, Breach.
For reading the fake Tom Brady quote. No, it was real.
Look, I mean,
By the way, the chat came through after I cursed. Said I offended their kids. My daughter probably doesn't want to live with me anymore. Saw all of them. Good stuff.
Look, man. I mean, it's again. You know, we talked about it with JLC's report. Originally said that Tom Brady did not want to take all the attention away from these championship games, and he was mulling his future, and he would make a decision. So now, I mean, what would be amazing if Tom Brady came back just to be like, nah, F y'all. Like I was going to retire, but now I'm not. You know,
And you know, as you know, our commenter noted, and we noted earlier in the podcast, the official TB12 account tweeted out that he was retiring, and they've since deleted that tweet because I think Brady was like, guys, we're waiting until early next week. It does really feel like he wants to make this announcement on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That way you don't overshadow the championship games on Sunday, and then you don't overshadow the Super Bowl because people can talk about his retirement for the next week, and then you focus on the Super Bowl the following week. So it does feel like this announcement is going to come from Brady on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday next week, would be my guess.
I would agree with that. Okay. Anything else that we want to talk about with relation to Tom Brady? We've covered it.
You know who just let out a huge sigh of relief? Blaine Gabbert. does not have to follow Tom Brady.
I know, poor Kyle Trask.
I'm trying to think. So Brian Greasy followed John Elway, and that wasn't an easy road. I'm trying to think. And then they also drafted Tommy Maddox. Who else retired? Brett Favre. That worked out okay with Aaron Rodgers. Any other big names that retired quarterback-wise? Peyton Manning. Who came after Peyton Manning? Brock
Everyone.
Osweiler?
Broncos have like 8 quarterbacks since Peyton.
Was Brock the first one that got the shot?
Yeah, because remember, they benched Peyton for Brock in the midway.
I didn't know if he hung around the next year. I know they traded him to the Texans or whatever. So Brock Osweiler didn't work out. So we're basically 1 for 4 right now.
Well, I mean, it's impossible to replace a legend. You want to be the guy after the replacement. So like the buffer, like the Patriots had Cam Newton and then Mac Jones, because there's a lot less pressure when the replacement guy fails miserably, like he's probably going to, and then you replace the guy who failed miserably instead of replacing the legend. So, the one of these that has worked is Favre to Rodgers, but it's not often. You know what else we didn't even mention about Brady is the fact that they went 16-0. I mean, they had an undefeated season.
Yeah, but they lost the Super Bowl. That sort of puts a stink
But it's
on
the
it.
greatest regular season.
Do you think that would be, if you asked Tom Brady, what's your biggest regret? It's definitely that Super Bowl, right?
Yes, I think he's actually said in a
I don't
couple
know what's number
interviews
two.
that the second Giants Super Bowl.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, you have, and it's crazy to think all those Super Bowls could have gone. I mean, these are all games that came down to one play, except really the Rams Patriots Super Bowl where they won 13-3. All the other ones were one-score games that could have gone either way. Tom Brady could be 10-0 in Super Bowls. He could be 2-8, and it's crazy that the Tom Brady, the Patriots magic, just always worked out in his favor. And the Chiefs game was obviously a blowout when he was with the Buccaneers. But as far as the Patriots Super Bowls go,
what do we think the Buccaneers do at quarterback? Do they roll with Kyle Trask, Blaine Gabbert, or do they go get Aaron Rodgers? Because that would be spicy. You talk about finding a guy who can follow Tom Brady successfully. It would be going and giving up a ton of draft capital and various assets for Tom Brady. For Aaron Rodgers, excuse me.
Yeah, Blaine Gabbert's a free agent for whatever that. I mean, he's not going anywhere, but just they would have to re-sign him. And Kyle Trask is currently going to be the only quarterback on the roster when Brady makes it official. Yeah, I mean, everyone should be in the Aaron Rodgers conversation if that's a legitimate.
Yeah, but if you have to trade for him, I don't know that Tampa's going to be. They have to worry about a ton of free agents. Obviously, they brought all their starters back this past season. That's not going to be the case this season. Gronk might retire, and would Aaron Rodgers even want to go there? I mean, Chris Godwin is going to be a free agent. That's a big one.
Their offensive line is good, and that's where you want to start.
I mean, that's true. That's true. And
their
Aaron
defense
Rodgers
is good. And Breach, by the way, that division is dog dookie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's a good point. You know what, Wilson, you literally just took 12 seconds, and I'm already sold.
Yeah. So, I mean, right. They're going to be like, you mentioned Chris Godwin, playoff Lenny's a free agent. They literally have Keyshawn Vaughn and Kenyon Barner are the only running backs under contract. But again, running backs, it doesn't matter. Cameron Brates could come back. And that's the only tight end under contract. The offensive line is good. The defensive line is still good. Vita Vea is there. Sue they can get out from under them if they want to, but they have some talent there. All the linebackers are coming back. Cornerbacks are coming back except for, let's see, Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, the safety, and that's about it. So they're in pretty good shape. And
it's still a very good roster, even if they lose. Godwin might be a casualty just because we don't know if I don't know if they can tag him a second time with that injury.
And the injury will be fine, but right. Would you want to tag him a second time anyway?
Yeah. And then Gronk, if Brady retires, Gronk likely retires. So yeah,
I love Gronk, but let's be real. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Oh, great news. Incredibly deep tight end class too. So if they have any draft picks left after acquiring Aaron Rodgers, they can draft the tight end even in day 3 probably and find someone that can help out.
Maybe OJ Howard will finally break out as a free agent.
I think he's done too.
Yeah,
in terms of
he's on that list. Look, this is still Ryan Jensen's a big one too. This is still a very good football team, but
they're $7.6 million under the cap, so you can work your cap magic at spottrack.com and figure out what else you need to do. But you're in better shape than the Saints can't go out and get Aaron Rodgers, even though he might want to go to New Orleans.
Right. I mean, I would say that the Buccaneers, because of their roster and because of the big issues on the other NFC South teams, even if Tom Brady retires, I would suggest might still be the favorites to win the division, even though that feels kind of crazy because the Panthers are terrible. The Falcons have Matt Ryan. I mean,
I think it's a situation where the team could be 8-9
and win 8-1 and win the division. It feels absolutely realistic. Yeah. With that division for sure. Yeah, and look, maybe Kyle Trask is good. I mean, people liked him as a prospect coming out. Not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, you have no idea.
Yeah, got to learn under Tom Brady for a hot minute, and maybe Tom Brady comes back. I mean, at this point, who knows?
That would be we're having the cancel out reverse podcast to cancel out our Tom Brady retirement podcast.
Can you imagine Tom Brady telling his wife, "Okay, it's done. We're in the Dominican sunbathing," and then he sees this report and he says, "Giselle, psych, I'm going to
just to spite people." Tom Brady would totally do that. And you know what? You have to think that. Don't you think Sean Payton? If Tom Brady was literally on the fence, and you see Sean Payton is leaving the Saints, doesn't that at least make you think, that was our biggest competitor? That's the only guy that figured us out.
You're, as Wilson likes to say, moonwalking to a division title.
Moonwalking. So you are in the playoffs next year. You're in the playoffs. Like, man, that's why it's hard to fathom why Brady. You play one more year, and it's against. There's no one in your division to stop you.
Have you guys, before I came on, did you talk about how many different receivers caught passes from Tom Brady?
It's an NFL record, like 80, 85.
We did not. Good catch.
You want to guess, Brunson? Brady,
85.
What'd you say? 85 too?
85.
Debo, you want to gander a guess, or do you know the answer? Debo does not want to guess.
Debo's left the podcast.
125.
I'm going to guess 62.
The answer is 90.
Wow.
90.
That is a ton.
So most TD receptions from Gronk is 105 touchdown receptions. Is that right?
Including the playoffs. That's the second most in NFL history behind Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning, who are at 114.
Sweet mercy.
I mean, dude, Gronk led the league in touch. I mean,
That's a lot of touchdowns.
Just a little bit ahead of Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf at this point.
Metcalf. All right, you want to take a gander?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
You want to take a gander at some of the top receivers just for fun?
Sure.
So at the top should be pretty obvious if you just sort of take a quick glance at the list here. It's not much different.
Right.
So there's a slightly different order. Gronk is first. Randy
Okay.
Moss is second.
Is this receptions or is this?
I think this is receptions. Yeah, just receptions.
Okay.
But the number is
Deion Branch, I would guess, would be the next one up.
this is crazy. Is this right? Deion Branch is up there.
Rashae Caldwell?
James White.
Oh, that makes sense. He caught 10 passes in the Super Bowl comeback.
That's right, he did. So right under Mike Evans on the list here. So 6 is James White, then Deion Branch.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see. After Deion Branch, I mean, honestly, it might be Aaron Hernandez.
You're looking at the list.
I'm not
It's
looking
100%
at it.
Aaron
I'm just
Hernandez.
guessing. I mean, we've been covering the NFL for 10 years. Like, I'm just
It's
guessing.
100% Aaron Hernandez.
That's not a crazy guess. He was a good player for many years and then went to jail for murder.
And then after that, 2 more tight ends. One from early in the career and the one from
the early one is oh my god.
You mentioned them already, Ryan.
That's the other one, yes. He ran down Champ Bailey to save the pick 6 in the playoffs against the Broncos. And then there's one that played before.
Not listening.
Yeah. Breach, you listening? You're not even paying attention. Breach is texting.
No, I'm just trying to figure out when Tom Brady's going to retire.
Ben Watson's the one that Debo's talking about. And the one that played before him, you want to guess? Or let me tell you.
Ben Watson. Oh god, the other one is
Daniel Graham.
Are you cheating, Debo? That's it.
No, I mean those are the old school tight ends he had.
Yeah, you got it. Well done. And then two old school receivers from his first. 2 old school receivers after that, and then we'll stop. From his like the first 5-6 years of with the Patriots. 2 of his favorite targets that played receiver.
The Rashae Caldwell.
No, that's sort of the middle part. That's like that's 06. So like 2001 to 2005.
Gaffney.
No, go earlier.
I'm gonna say rest in peace, David Patton.
David Patton.
Nice work.
And then David Patton's running mate on the other side.
Troy Brown.
There you go.
I had to go earlier. I wouldn't have gotten Patton.
All right.
Troy Brown was a stud for a while with Brady.
What else do we want to? I mean, I feel like we're kind of going to have to come back and talk about this again when Tom Brady officially announces.
By the way, the very last one on the list, Brashad Perryman.
Is he really the last one?
I think he only has 1 catch.
Oh, he's only got 1 catch, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's
Gary Blunt has 1 catch, so it's a fun little group at the bottom.
And didn't Brashad Perryman catch the overtime pass against the Buffalo Bills that won the game?
He did. That is correct
for sure.
And
that was
Perryman was one of the few people who tweeted, "Have a happy retirement, Tom Brady." So maybe he knows something we don't know.
Chad Johnson's down near the bottom. Very interesting.
God, I forgot Chad Johnson was on that list too.
I didn't forget. That was the one trade the Bengals ever won.
All right. What? Here's one for you. This is fun. A little trivia. Recent trivia too. Who caught the final complete pass of Tom Brady's career, including the postseason?
So that was the loss.
Mike Evans?
Nope.
Wasn't that touchdown?
Jalen Ramsey.
The Bucks Rams. Because it was that game.
Was it
Bucks Rams, obviously.
Was it Scotty? What's his name?
Nope.
What's Scotty's last name?
Miller.
Scotty Miller.
It is like a sort of a lower end.
I'm gonna say Grayson.
No, remember he got hurt. He didn't play.
Tyler Johnson.
Cameron Brate.
They scored a touchdown. Oh my goodness, to
Because
tie
I
it up.
remember Brate was the
No,
question.
I thought Mike Evans scored the game tying touchdown.
No,
If you would have told me it was a touchdown, I would have gotten Brate in a second.
Because remember it was ruled. Brady actually went to the line, and we thought we were like, he doesn't know it's fourth down. It was 4th and short, and they paused it to check it out, and then they ran Fournette around the end, the right side, on the 4th and short. Fournette scored the touchdown to tie it up, and then obviously, and then Matthew Stafford, they get the field goal. But
by the way, quickly, our buddy Stephen O at Sportsline just put out the Tampa Bay odds with and without Tom Brady, and as we just said a moment ago, the simulations have the Buccaneers winning 8 games next year without Tom Brady. So
there you go.
Oh, let's see. So,
very quickly, by the way, our winner of a Brinson Sucks hat,
Ooh,
David J. Line.
Way to go, David.
Woo! Congratulations, David.
But interestingly, Stephen O only has the Bucs with a 6% chance to win the division.
Well, I mean, the quarterback drop off could be
Yeah, but who
huge.
else in the competition is my question. 28% chance to make the playoffs, though.
Matt Ryan.
6% to win the division?
But 28 to make the playoffs, 28% chance.
Who's the division favorite? The Falcons, I guess?
I guess. I don't love that, but
Saints. Maybe they get a big time coach.
they're better get a quarterback too, and some salary cap space. But other than that,
Hey, Jameis Winston beat the Buccaneers and the Packers.
He currently has one leg.
I mean, Tom Brady is worth, according to our Sportsline simulations from Stephen O, worth 3.1 wins. That is
wild.
A ton.
That's a huge number.
Yes, it is.
That also squares up with wins over Wilson.
Please don't in the chat. Don't mention the Panthers. All right. Anything else?
0% chance we see Tom Brady in a broadcast booth.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Musso asked me what Tom Brady will do after football. And I said, if I'm Tom Brady,
Look handsome.
I am going to build an actual / literal Scrooge McDuck vault. And I'm going to swim in money just for fun. Like, he's got that much money.
And to answer Debo's question, I think it's a 0% because look, if you're retiring because your wife, because she's saying you're not around enough, you're not going to go take a job where you're now around football the whole season and you have to travel and do all this. So unless somebody's going to let him broadcast from his house, I doubt he does. Maybe a studio show, I guess, would be the only thing, but I don't think we'll see him announcing games.
Maybe something like a Manning cast.
Right.
Like an alternate TV.
Hey, maybe he'll join the Manning cast.
Maybe so. Wouldn't be
So,
that
we mentioned the report from Mike Silver. Tampa Bay Times, Rick Stroud confirmed the report as well. And then Pete Prisco, I think, should get the last word, and he tweets,
Make up your mind.
Make up your mind.
Make up your mind.
Classic Prisco.
Who had the best Prisco? That should be a vote in the chat. And we'll answer it on Tom Brady Retires Part 2 podcast coming later week.
Yeah. So we think Tom Brady is retiring, but Tom Brady is not officially retired or told the Bucs that he's retiring. So that's it. To go tweet at Prisco CBS and say, make up your mind, old man. That's it for the Tom Brady Retirement Podcast. I am sure that we will be back with more Tom Brady coverage. He is the greatest NFL player in the history of football. And when he walks away from the game, it's not going to be a single day's worth of coverage. It's going to be a week's worth of coverage. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Smash that subscribe button. See you guys later.